The snow outside my apartment window looked picture perfect. Soft, glittering, quiet. The kind of Christmas snow you see in those cozy Hallmark movies. But my apartment didn't smell like cinnamon or cocoa. It smelled like burnt coffee and exhaustion. I was finishing a late-night report for client when my phone buzzed across the counter. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months.
Dad.
For a second, I froze, my hand hovering over the phone like touching it might burn. Then I opened the message. "You're a burden. Stay away this Christmas." That was it. No punctuation. No hesitation. Just final. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink at first. I just stared at the words until they blurred into the reflection of my own face. Calm, distant, unrecognizable. The snow kept falling outside, perfectly indifferent. Somewhere, someone was wrapping gifts and baking cookies. But in that moment, my world felt like a silent movie. All color, no sound. I set the phone down, closed my laptop, and let the weight of the message sink in. After everything I'd done to become the kind of daughter he could be proud of, I was still just a burden. I thought I'd made peace with his distance. But that text, it cracked something open. And maybe that was the night everything really began. I was 20 when everything fell apart. It was the first Christmas after Dad remarried. The house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a place I was visiting without permission. My room had been turned into a guest space. My old posters were gone, replaced by beige walls and scented candles that didn't smell like me. Dad's new wife, Linda, was nice in that polite, careful way that hides disapproval. Every compliment she gave felt like it had a sharp edge. That night, dinner was quiet except for the clinking of silverware. I tried to tell Dad about my plans, how I'd been accepted into a graphic design program, how I wanted to start freelancing to pay for it. He didn't even look up from his plate. "Grace, you need to be realistic," he said flatly. "That's not a career. You can't just draw for a living." Linda smiled thinly. "Your father just worries you'll end up depending on him forever, sweetheart." That word, sweetheart, stung. I swallowed hard, my voice small but steady. "I never asked for anything from either of you." Dad's eyes finally met mine, cold, tired. "And I'd like to keep it that way." It was the way he said it. Not angry, not loud, just final, like he was erasing me mid-sentence. After dinner, I packed quietly. My hands trembled as I folded clothes into an old duffel bag. On my dresser sat a small silver locket, the only thing I had left for Mom. Inside was a faded photo of her holding me as a baby, and on the back she'd engraved, "You are enough, my little light." I clutched it so tightly my fingers left marks. When I walked downstairs, Dad didn't stop me. He didn't even ask where I was going. Just stood by the window, pretending to fix a crooked ornament. Outside, snow was falling, soft and quiet, like it was trying to cover up the sound of my heart breaking. I walked down that driveway without looking back, whispering the same words over and over, like a promise I wasn't sure I believed yet. "I'll make something of myself. You'll see." I arrived in Chicago with one suitcase, a laptop that barely worked, and that silver locket clutched around my neck. The city smelled like rain on concrete, exhaust, and something faintly sweet from the bakeries I passed on my walk to the bus stop. It was nothing like home, nothing like the warmth I remembered. But it was mine now, or at least I decided it would be. My first apartment was a box-shaped studio with peeling wallpaper and a heater that coughed more than it worked. I slept on a thin mattress on the floor and ate instant noodles more often than I liked to admit. Every night, I stayed up until 2, sketching logos, designing websites, pitching clients who mostly ignored me. Rejection became my soundtrack. Then, there was Maya Thompson, a seasoned graphic designer I met at a freelance networking event. She was sharp, confident, and terrifying in the best way. "You have talent, Grace," she said after seeing my portfolio, "but talent isn't enough. You need persistence and a backbone that won't bend when the world says no." I wanted to argue. The world had said no to me all my life. But something in her tone, firm but not cruel, lit a spark. I learned quickly. Long nights turned into longer weeks. I ran on caffeine, determination, and the quiet whisper of my mother's words in that locket. Slowly, the small victories arrived. My first paying client, a tiny boutique needing a website, paid me double of what I expected. Then a bigger project came from a local cafe chain. I celebrated quietly, always alone, taking a moment to breathe and think, I did this. Months turned into years. I started my own design firm, hired one assistant, then two, crafted a portfolio that got attention beyond the city. Yet I never told Dad, never posted braggy updates. On social media, I looked like the girl who barely made it. I wanted him to keep thinking he was right, that I was struggling, dependent, invisible. The irony was delicious. He thought I was a burden, and here I was, building my own empire, untouchable by his disbelief. By the time I was 27, I had clients in multiple states, my own small studio with sunlight streaming through the windows, and my first profitable year behind me. Every time I glanced at that locket, I smiled softly. Mom had been right, I was enough. And no one, not Dad, not Linda, not anyone could ever take that away. It was Christmas Eve when they showed up. I hadn't expected them, not truly. But when Dad's name appeared on my phone with a tentative text, I hesitated only a moment before agreeing to a short visit. The last time we'd seen each other, he'd made it clear I was nothing but a burden. I wondered if he even recognized me now. When they arrived, Dad, Linda, and my half-brother, Alex, I greeted them in my studio, my calm smile masking years of anticipation and a little amusement. The space was nothing like the cramped apartment they imagined. Sunlight reflected off the minimalist white walls, highlighting carefully chosen artwork and the sleek, modern desks where my team worked quietly. Dad's eyes scanned the room, lingering on a large plaque on the wall. Grace Miller Design, founder and CEO. I could feel him stiffen. Linda's jaw tightened, and Alex's mouth fell open slightly. Their gazes darted around, polished hardwood floors, sunlight bouncing off chrome accents, and the subtle hum of productivity in the air. Wow, Dad muttered finally, as if testing the sound. I poured us all a cup of cocoa, the peppermint scent filling the air. I let the silence stretch, giving them space to absorb everything before I spoke. I wasn't kidding when I said I could take care of myself. I began softly, watching Dad's expression falter. This is the life I've built since I left home. My firm has clients in 5 states. I employ a small team. And yes, I've been doing it without your support, without anyone believing I could. Linda's eyes narrowed. But this doesn't make sense. We thought that I was struggling? That I'd fail? I interrupted gently. Yes, you thought I'd fail. And you were wrong. Alex finally found his voice. Grace, I had no idea. I smiled, not cruelly, but with quiet satisfaction. I didn't need you to see it coming. I only needed to see it for myself. And I did. Dad's face went pale. There was a flash of shame, maybe even guilt. He opened his mouth, but no words came. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the soft hiss of the heater and the distant echo of Christmas music from the street below. Then I walked over to the plaque, ran my hand across it. This, I said, is the result of believing in myself when no one else did. Especially you. They were silent, absorbing the truth, the enormity of the life I had created without them. And in that quiet, I realized, for the first time, maybe ever, I was untouchable by their disbelief. After the initial shock wore off, Dad tried to speak, hesitantly, as if testing whether I would forgive him instantly. Grace, I didn't know. I was wrong. I raised a hand gently, stopping him. Dad, it's not about being right or wrong anymore. It's about respect. And respect is something you've owed me for years. Linda's lips pressed together, her envy barely masked, while Alex shifted nervously, clearly unsure what to say. I took a slow breath. If any of us are going to move forward, this is what needs to happen. I spoke calmly, deliberately, firm but measured. You will never dismiss my achievements or my choices again. I am not a burden. Honesty is non-negotiable. If you want a relationship, it must start with truth, not assumptions or judgment. You will stop comparing me to anyone else in the family. My life is my own, and I will define it, not you. And finally, if you want to be part of my world, you need to respect my boundaries. There will be no guilt trips, no manipulations, no passive aggression. They looked stunned. Dad's shoulders slumped. Linda blinked rapidly, and Alex shifted his gaze to the floor. I continued, softer this time, letting compassion seep through. I care about all of you, but caring doesn't mean allowing old patterns to repeat. You have to grow, just like I had to. And I'm willing to let you try, if you're serious. There was a pause. I could feel the power shift completely into my hands, the same hands that packed my life into a suitcase years ago. The hands that built something remarkable, without anyone's help. I'm giving you a chance, I said, but it's on my terms, not yours. And don't forget, I added, tapping the silver locket around my neck, this comes from a place of strength, not weakness. Dad finally nodded slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. I understand, Grace. I'll try. Linda's expression softened marginally, and Alex dared a small, hopeful smile. I could see the beginnings of change. Hesitant, fragile, but there nonetheless. For the first time, I realized it didn't feel like I was punishing anyone. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the architect of my own peace, my own life, and now I could decide who earned a place in it. The weeks after that Christmas felt like breathing for the first time after being underwater. Dad called occasionally, his voice tentative, still learning the sound of respect. Alex sent me links to his first freelance projects, proud and shy all at once. Linda, she tried, in her own way, to apologize without words, just small acts of acknowledgement, making coffee before a meeting, complimenting a new design, leaving space for me without judgment. I watched all of it quietly, standing by the same window where, months ago, I had stared at the snow alone. Now, the snow fell, but the cold felt different, not like loneliness, but like clarity. My studio smelled of coffee and pine, reminders of the holidays, but also of the life I had chosen for myself. In my hand, I turned over the silver locket my mother had given me. The photo inside was faded, but her message still burned bright. You are enough, my little light. I realized then that everything I had endured, the rejections, the hurt, the texts that called me a burden, had brought me here. Stronger, wiser, unshakable. And I smiled, softly, because I understood something simple but profound. I didn't need anyone to validate me anymore. I didn't need approval. I didn't need permission. I had everything I had ever wanted, my dignity, my success, and my own sense of peace. That Christmas, I didn't wait for anyone to tell me I was worthy. I finally told myself. He once called me a burden. Turns out, I was carrying more than he ever could, and I did it beautifully. The snow outside sparkled, indifferent to everything, yet somehow, it felt like it was celebrating with me. I sipped my coffee, touched the locket to my chest, and let myself feel light for the first time in years. This was my home, my life, my Christmas, my strength.